Hi, and welcome to another session of the 2023 Female Disruptors Second Annual Virtual Summit. My name is Lisa Beyer, and I am the founder of Female Disruptors, and I want to welcome you to this session. So if you haven't been hearing all the buzz about AI since the first of the year, I don't know where you've been, but it's been a burst of trends happening with artificial intelligence and all different use cases. But today we're actually going to be talking about how to integrate positive psychology with artificial intelligence and more. So we have Daniela Merlano here, and she is coming from the UK. And she's a psychologist focusing on, she's a positive psychologist, and I'll let Daniela explain that. But she is now AI into her practice. And I'm going to just hand it over to you and explain how you got into this. And also we had a session together that I could share when you're done introducing and talking a little bit more about what you've been doing and how we can explore this.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me here. It is my pleasure to keep expanding the voice of the mindful tech world and use cases that actually want to add value to people with the technology available nowadays. So as Lisa was saying, I am Daniela Merlano. I'm a voice of positive psychology and the mindful tech world. And today I'm going to talk about passion and courage and how these two ingredients become key advisors of our well-being. So for the purposes of this session, I am going to share screen so you get to see a bit of the ideas, and I'll walk you through them. So give me 1 minute to actually.
Yeah, and while you're bringing that up, Daniela, I can just share that we met and we did a session together where we did about an hour of, kind of similar to a virtual mental health session, meditation and visualization. And then you came back to me a couple of days later, a week later, with some visuals that were integrated with AI. So I thought that was a really interesting process and way to use, you can explain the process, but I thought it was amazing. I have that visual that I look at on my computer and it brings me to a place of calmness.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy you're actually using it in your computer. I think that's amazing. And yes, and the visuals that you're going to see here today, the last one is, they're all generated with AI clip tool, which is contrastive language images, which means that these tools take a bunch of images from their data to bring them together within a text from description to then bring them to life and visualize. So as I was telling before, and I like to introduce myself within what I do and how am I bringing this here and why. So since 7 years ago, I certified myself in positive psychology. Positive psychology is the science of flourishing, which means psychology so far has been asking the question of what does not work, and when it doesn't work, how can we help others to be better? Positive psychology asks the other questions for the people that feel that they have a meaningful life, that they have positive relationships, that they are flourishing itself, that they're thriving, what is in common with them, so we can create a system of emotional fitness for more people to feel +6. So when challenges comes, we don't go -3, -2, but we keep ourselves in a more healthy response to life challenges. So that has been my backbone for, as I say, for 7 years in my practice in culture and startups, and I say therapist. And in September, when I started exploring around AI, because I was immersed in Web3 for 6 months before that, and I was becoming a voice of a mindful Web3, of quantum use cases of technology. So I started using this technology combined with positive psychology and combined with something called Ericksonian therapy, which is connected to hypnosis and what we can create emotionally wise with our imagination to heal, to bring then positive emotional triggers for our oh, thank you, Aliana, much appreciate your comments, to build positive emotional triggers for the people that were having sessions with me, because I believe that we have the power within ourselves to be more responsive and to be more aware of our own well-being process. We just need better tools and a little help. So that's what the experience that Lisa came through with me. And it's been amazing. And that's why I keep expanding and I want to keep building a tool that brings that to life in a more scalable way, because 90%, no, 75% of my clients nowadays that have used this positive emotional trigger through imagery feel 90% more emotionally uplifted. They actually feel more courageous, more confident. They connect within their strengths. And as Lisa was saying, the visualization is not just about the image, it's the whole experience, because the visualization is meant to connect with your values. Your values, your strengths are always unique and are different from mine and from Lisa's. And that's great. And that's why it's so special that this visual, this space is using technology to bring as close as I can and the tool itself can to life what makes you feel in that sense of belonging. So according to that, I started exploring it as well, because I do believe a lot in passion. Thanks to passion is that we are here today. And please feel free to add any comments in chat. I'm happy to read them out loud and answer any questions, as well as at the end of the session, we'll have a little bit of Q&A. So in my master's research, I deep dived in what passion is and how passion turns into courage. And that's also why I started exploring the AI clip tools, because my mission is to create a more empathic world. And as Lisa was saying before, the way of doing that is making people feel more courageous and feel more belonging, so they make more decisions belonging to themselves first. And they have to have that self-love to move forward, and they have to have that connection within their passions and purpose to move forward in a brighter way. So there's something very important here, which is the difference between harmonic passion and obsessive passion. So there's always a healthier road for that. So harmonic passion is the passion that we freely chose. We can meet that passion in our journey in different stages, and that's fine. But the most important thing is that we feel that we chose it, that it was ours. The second one is that it is connecting us with a sense of meaningful life. And the third one is that it's nurtured by our values. That's also why I chose a methodology to ask the harder questions around purpose later, but before connect with our values. Because my purpose and the form that I fulfill my purpose might change in time, but the backbone that is here to stay stronger are values. So as long as I know them and I connect emotionally with them, and it can be just within our visualization, but stronger with the AI clip visuals, I will be able to answer those questions in a way that I can also feel action plans and see action plans to walk through that meaningful life. And I'll go after like a little bit further in this session on what are those ingredients, according to my research, that brings that passion and that sense of belonging with what I love doing, with what I enjoy doing, with what I really get immersed in doing because of that love, to the courage of going the extra mile and that turning into accomplishment. The other side of it, which is obsessive passion, we can recognize it around burnout, for example. So when we really get obsessed with a specific goal, and then we go farther than what our body can go, specifically our body, there is where we have to go 2 steps back, see our habits, see how are we nurturing our passion, so we keep it on the healthy journey, on the harmonic passion. Both are proved to go take us to the accomplishments that we're looking for, but one might be more at the expense of our well-being than the other one. That's also why I do this distinction, because passion is a huge topic that it has very recent research. Very recent is 2011 around. And if you're a little bit more curious about it, you can look for Valierand. He's like the with little V and double L. He's the godfather of research around passion. So when does passion becomes courage? And one of the big questions here is what it actually is courage. So I see courage from a compassionate perspective, which means for what I've seen through research and through my own journey on understanding courage is that it's not about the big steps, it's not about what looks like a huge win. It's about moving the small steps I need to move when I still feel a bit of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, because I'm believing on that passion, because I'm believing on that purpose. And for some people, depending on the circumstances, courage can even have a difficult situation. And actually, Brené Brown, which is a great speaker around vulnerability, she also speaks about courage from that perspective. The most of the people say they feel courageous when they do those small things like saying I love you first. And I think that's something very, very important for us to know, because it brings, according to my uplifting methodology, knowing that brings us to a state of I can be courageous too. For what does that mean for me? And it doesn't have to be the same for everyone, and that's okay. That's being all of us unique within what we feel that we can move forward to. But definitely for well-being, we need various types of emotions. It's not just about feeling less stress and less anxiety and more calmness, which that is good, of course, but also creating those emotions that makes us move, that makes us get a bit of our comfort zone so we can go farther on our learning journey. The only way of learning, of getting to know ourselves or getting to understanding best of what does that meaningful life feels like is moving. So that's why I care that much on a methodology that brings confidence, courage, and purpose into the equation. So according to my research, there's 6 main things that mix up when passion becomes courage. So the first of it is positive emotion. Positive emotion is not necessarily mean that there are negative emotions. All emotions are welcome and all emotions are talking to us about things that matter. But positive emotions in this context is meaning emotions of freedom, of joy, of impact, which means that meaning comes not just because it's helping me, but it's helping someone else. Positive emotions are also happiness and trust and confidence. I think those are the 6 ones that were more highlighted in the research itself. For what this is useful for yourself. So whenever you want to feel connecting with that passion, to feel more courageous, find statements that make you recognize those emotions within yourself. And that could be, if I want to feel more courageous today, maybe I find joy having a conversation with my favorite coworker or with my children. And that will nurture the emotion that then will help you make better decisions because of the creativity that opens up being in that emotional state. The second thing is engagement. So engagement is pretty much what makes us feel in what some people call the state of flow. The state of flow is when we're so deep into what we're doing that we forget time. And I don't know if that has happened to you very often, but usually it happens with our hobbies because we're choosing really to do them. We actually took the time to get there because we enjoy it. And then we lose track of time on a very, very good conversation. And then you're like, man, we've been in the phone for 3 hours and it meant to be 30 minutes, for example. So that state of flow in our workplace and in our passions, when we really chose them, we feel that sense of flow. I think it was like over 80% of the people within my research, they talked about that. They talked about going the extra mile because they lost track of time, because they were highly engaged in what they were doing and the problems that they were wanting to solve and the creativity on working on them. The third aspect, is relationships. Relationships are key because leadership, teamwork, and sense of support are three aspects that will make us feel courageous because someone else also is trusting in us and because we're expanding that trust to them as well. I think this is very, very important, especially for Web3, because we are within the future emerging technologies. We're also thinking about a better society with the community building topics. And the sense of community building is really choosing to support actively a project or a person or a belief, because we believe that we can add value there and we all get value from it as well. So that is structure of high quality connections and structure of high quality relationships. And that creates something called collective efficacy. For collective efficacy, which means we all feeling courageous enough to move forward, even when the downers come, we need evaluation, which means constantly asking us and others, how are we feeling? What are we thinking? If what we're doing is working, if what is not working, we need the emotion and therefore the positive emotions as well. So which type of experience am I delivering to the people that is supporting with me, that is teaming up with me, or the community that is watching me move, so they can actually want to keep being there for this purpose, for this project, and for my passion. So experience is key. It doesn't have to be, I always say that a good experience is not always the most complex one, but the one built with love. And you feel that love, you feel, because you feel it in the details. And last but not least, for collective efficacy is very important, education. How am I communicating to others this passion and what I want to do and those goals that I want to achieve and why it feels vulnerable to do so? So through that understanding, they can co-work with me in a way that we uplift together, that we thrive together. So education, I'm not just meaning like hard education, I'm meaning about communicating and understanding each other as well. So the fourth is meaning. Meaning is one of the most interesting concepts because it's the one that it's the strongest one, so we can actually choose what to do next. Sometimes the form, and as I say, because I feel that a mindful tech world is also around positive technology use, the technology will change, but the meaning that I'm placing into the use of that technology, that is what matters the most in the long run. In my example is, I want to build a more empathic world, and I want to build a tool that makes people feel confident and courageous to take charge of their well-being. That's my main meaning. If it's with blockchain, if it's with AI in this case, if it's with any other Excel, like any other technology out there, it's just placed in service for that higher meaning. And that will gives us the way of looking at them as tools, so we can actually understand more than the trend, which ones are there for service to fulfill that meaning, and mostly to feel courageous enough to go and learn. That passion will make us learn 10 times more that we ever thought of that we could learn. And that's also why I believe that when passion becomes courage, we become a set of skills placed in service because of that meaning. And again, using my own case scenario, I'm not a tech person. That's not my background. And I'm a culture and people person. I've grown within the startup world through that. But because of the strong meaning of what I'm dreaming of, I've developed skills and understanding the basis of how some technology works from a product perspective as AI, so I can fulfill that. And that's something that, personally speaking, I never thought I would be able to learn, because I was told in high school I was bad with math, so I shouldn't go that road or anything with numbers. So I'm very happy that through the passion, I had the courage to study twice and ask questions and ask for help and be okay with not knowing, but that I can learn. And that's for everyone. And there is where accomplishment matters. Accomplishment is not is actually, according to my research, is not that intertwined with the financial outcomes, but with the goals achieved on impact. Most of the people that turns passion into courage, it's because they are caring about the positive impact that they can tangibilize for the people that they are adding value, and that then becomes in financial success. But what makes them feel more courageous and wanting to move forward is not how much they're making, but how much impact they can see for the contribution of what they are building, of what they're doing, and what their passion can do for themselves and others. And this is something I love to talk about, because I feel that the media and some marketing talk and commercial talk might make us feel that the sense of fulfillment and accomplishment might come from financial goals. Finances are key, yes, and especially for women, we have to understand our financial literacy, and that we can also be entrepreneurs and we can also have those ambitions. But as people, what matters the most to turn passion into courage is being aware and tangibilize the positive impact of what we're doing. And there is where mindset plays a key as well. Because as in everything in life, when we work out of passion, when we build our relationships with our partner, our children, our friends out of passion, it will still be imperfect. And what ends up driving us through that imperfect into deeper learning, into evolving, and into moving from courage is our mindset. And mindset is growth mindset, which means losing fear, uncertainty, and doubt to take charge of learning. When we're aware that we're in constant learning curve, and when we're aware of our strengths, we find an ease of asking for help and the humbleness of understanding that we can't be perfect. The process can't be perfect. And for so we can appreciate explicitly and way more the people around us and the community and the network and the friends and the family that are helping us understand what do we have to learn today or from previous failures and experiences to keep moving forward within that passion. And for me, that's something that is very, very important, because without the mindset, we might even have some positive emotions, some good relationships. We might enjoy the daily life of what we do and find a meaning of it. But when hard times come, we might lose it because we didn't train that mindset of understanding that it is okay and that we have to keep growing, and giving us the space to feel all the emotions, to understand them, so we can upscale and like upspeed a bit the learning curve. That's also one of the whys I feel that the experience that I've been having through AI and through building these spaces with my patients and clients has been so important, because it reminds them of the mindset. It reminds them of that moment where they believed they could belong to themselves, where they believe they could be courageous, and how does that feel and look like, to keep training it and programming it as long as they go in their journey. So as Lisa was saying, she decided to place it in her screensaver in the computer. I've got other patients that decided or chose to place that in their phone screensaver. So before they go into a difficult conversation or meeting, they see the screensaver and they feel that moment. They remember that meaning of the mindset, and for so they move forward, and they get to know themselves better as well. So last but not least, because I am aware that we had 30 minutes, I just want to say intuition saves our day. The best thing we can do when we're not sure about that meaning, where we're not sure about like all that this matters, our intuition will get us closer when we pop the hardest questions as yes, no questions. And we will understand farther on, why did we make that choice? And that's where journaling and writing down gratitude plays up like such a important role. Because if I ask myself, do I do I want yes or no to do X, Y, Z? Or do I want yes or no go into this direction or talk to this person or receive this person into my project because it's my passion and I really believe in it? Whatever outcome comes is truth to your intuition. And later on, you start understanding why. So you start understanding your criteria and learn from it as well. But for me, it has been a very long journey to understand my intuition, how it talks, and when it combines with my own fears and my own insecurities, to understand the difference between intuition and fear talk. And there is where I found this very helpful tool for daily life, or asking those questions as a yes no question. And I wanted to give you this tool. And this is something that is part of positive psychology research on building from passion to courage and from building mindfully.
Daniela,
So this is,
sorry,
yeah.
we have to end in like 1 minute because somebody else is going to be coming on. So
Okay.
yes, but this is so awesome.
Okay, thank you. So this is just like for you to screen save it. All of them are important. And when you're building, ask yourself the questions around, what am I doing for each one of these pieces of the wheel? And let's connect to ourselves and to our strengths, and let's belong to ourselves first. If you have any other further questions of the use cases of AI clip pulls and emotions, let me know, DM me through LinkedIn. I'm very approachable and reachable. And thank you for listening to me in these past minutes.
Yes, and I would highly recommend a session with Daniela for positive psychology, and then to get her feedback using AI, using visual AI, artificial intelligence. Thank you so much, Daniela. Thanks for being a female disruptor. Thanks for everybody for being at this session, and we will see you at the next session, starting in a couple minutes. Bye.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Daniela. Bye-bye.